And I'll be talking about my chosen source text for my Contrastive stylistics final project, how and why I chose them, and my translation process. So my two texts are, first one, a journal article called La Transición a la Democracia en España, Reforma, Ruptura y Consenso. So it's an excerpt from that. A journal article which comes from Revista, Estudios, Políticos. It's an article by Rafael de Águila, Tejerina. My other text is a technical text, a legislation, called Ley 17-1976 de 29 de mayo, reguladora del derecho de reunión. So the process of how I looked up these texts was sort of difficult in the sense that I wasn't sure what I was looking for exactly. I just use keywords in the NYU library's website, the advanced search, and just went with the terms Franco, Spain, and democracy, and tried to find two texts that didn't have the same genre, but that did treat the same topic. And it was sort of difficult because most of them are just academic writing, articles or books, things like that. So I just decided I should look for specifically a technical text, and then go from there, find a compatible academic writing piece, whichever it may be. So basically I decided on this law, and actually I wasn't sure which law I was going to go with until I found this journal article that didn't mention specific laws, and I thought it would be perfect to, the fact that they specifically mentioned the right to assembly law, which I know is important when breaking away from that kind of regime, because it's something that is usually prohibited within these regimes, and it was difficult for opposing groups to come to a consensus in terms of general laws, and this was one of them. My journal article text does fall under the academic writing genre, and I would say what Haywood, Thompson, and Hervey say in their writing, which is genres in this category, which is empirical, descriptive, analytical genre, refer to treat the real objective world as it is experienced by a specialist or first-hand observer. So it is recent enough that people might be first-hand observers, but these, at least at the very least, specialists in this topic, people that are very well educated on this subject of lawmaking and politics in Spain. So this article just is more descriptive and factually based, and it will just maybe form opinions based on these facts, but it's not creative or fictional in nature. It's more based on facts. And then my second text is obviously a legal text or legislation, which basically just goes over what is permitted and what isn't. When it comes to the right to assembly, I basically just went with the introduction for this law, and we just set up the frame where the articles will start to be described, but it basically does give a very complete introduction of how to be civil and just what should be permitted, and trying to live and transition into a democracy. Some challenges, I would say the hardest part was kind of trying to understand the topic as a whole, especially when it comes to the journal article, because of course with understanding that there will come an understanding of where the law that I chose came from. But understanding the journal article itself was a challenge. I tried to, as a novice, just that was a big mistake, just to try to start with the passage that I chose. But there's no way that could be translated without reading the whole article from the beginning, because the passage that I chose is about the 8th or 9th page of the article. So there's no way to understand, like, there are these two differing groups that are fighting between them, and I can't come to a consensus when it comes to creating the laws, because they have different perspectives of where to take the country when breaking away from this previous regime. So that was something that needed to be understood before we were beginning the translation. And then with the legal translation, obviously the terminology is very challenging, and it's something that you need parallel text. You need text in law in English, just in general, not necessarily related to Spain, just to understand how these terms are referred to in the other language, because sometimes, well, just like, for example, as simple as the title of the law, Derecho de reunión could be translated as right to meeting or something, and obviously this isn't just any kind of meeting. They're actually referring to assemblies, which obviously are more political in nature. This was a great learning experience to come face to face with these texts, especially with texts of this high level of difficulty, and apply the concepts that we've learned in class to identify the genre, understand the scope of, just understand the purpose of why this text is written before even translation begins. And I think probably the final product isn't perfect, and I tried to revise according to the professor's suggestions and my peer review and everything, but I do think I've learned, even at the very least, about the process of translation and how professionals should approach one. Another takeaway for me was the peer review. Amy Hartzell sent me a peer review where she was kind of surprised at how I handled the difficulty of my texts, and she was very impressed by it. So that's something that was very satisfying and fulfilling, just to know that my final product was understandable in the target language. So I will now read the first paragraph of my translation of the journal article text, which is La Transición a la Democracia en España, Reforma, Ruptura y Consenso, from Rafael del Águila Tejerina. The process that could lead to a democratic and freedom-driven regime had to take place between free, equal individuals. For this to be possible, reformers desperately needed their rivals, those who supported a rupture with the previous regime. Reform based on power would only have credibility within a democracy if it were supported by or included all those who were exempt from suspicion of collaborating with the previous dictatorship once it ended. The legitimization of this political option also depended on their rivals, the proponents of rupture and the political parties that represented the working class that had fought against the Franco system. These parties included the two demons of the previous regime, the PSOE, the Partido Socialista Obrero Español, and the PSE, the Partido Comunista Español. For all these reasons, reformists had to present the process towards freedom as a process of freedom. It is why the process leading to a legitimate democratic regime itself required democratic legitimacy. Consequently, the country went in the direction of a measured democratization, which led to a legislative movement that provided a framework of freedom to the reformist pathway towards democracy. Here, once again, the dual, though no less contradictory nature of the situation was detectable. A totalitarian regime and liberty and equality playing as two simultaneous means and ends to a transition towards democracy.